2 to 3 years.
How do you know? What was the first sign that something was not right?
Unexplained fatigue.
Yeah. So it started as myalgia.
Right, it was just strange fatigue. Like there was no reason for me to be that fatigued. You know, I was getting enough rest. I was eating well. You know, I was going about my life and everything was normal, but I was so tired.
Yeah.
So that's when.
What were you doing at the time? Were you in school or were you?
Nope, I was flying.
You were flying already. Okay.
Yeah.
And you were about what age? 21, 22? Do you remember?
Well, we found it when I was 23. So yeah, you're right, about 22 probably was when it started, but I didn't notice the symptoms until I was 23.
Was it off and on?
Somewhat. The symptoms came all at once, and we did blood work, and I had other doctors diagnose me with different things, and then my primary care doctor looked at my blood results, and that's when she was, you have Lyme disease. And I'm like, what?
So this was your first, you weren't misdiagnosed for years. You knew right off the bat when you
Basically, yeah.
Okay. So that's good, because not a lot of people have that. So tell me what it was like being 23 years old and getting this diagnosis. Was it enlightening? Did you feel better that you knew what it was? What was your feeling?
In the beginning, I felt like it was just something that was going to take its course and go away, you know, like most doctors do. You know, they give you the 4 weeks of antibiotics and get you sent along your way. So that's what I thought was going to happen, because that's what my doctor told me, my primary doctor. That's what she told me, that, you know, 4 weeks of antibiotics and you'll be good. And that's what happened in the beginning. I did a round of 4 weeks of antibiotics in the beginning, and 6 months later, that's when the symptoms came back. So we did another round. 6 months later, another episode, and that's where I am right now. Most recently, the most intense episode. It's incredibly difficult, especially like over the summertime. Not only, you know, the summertime, if you're taking doxycycline, you need to be out of the sun, so that's discouraging. I'm just stuck in the house with the curtains closed and I can't go anywhere. And all my friends, and you know, they're traveling. I want to be traveling, I want to be working, and I just can't do it.
How does this interfere with your, well, you just explained your social life, but how is that with work?
Luckily, I work for a company that does give me a medical leave of absence, so they've been understanding. However, I have to live off of a disability check, which isn't much at all. So I've gotten to the point now where I've spent all my money on every remedy, doctor, and it's difficult. So, you know, I need to get back to work, but I physically can't.
Yeah, exactly. And you have, the doctor can't really even give you kind of a time frame. No doctors really can do that right now. You saw a new doctor today. Were you, did they kind of give you an idea about how much time it will be before you can go back to work?
Yeah, I was the one asking that, because originally, like, they were kind of wrapping up the appointment, and you could tell that they didn't really have an answer. They told me at least 12 weeks for right now, but I've also been under treatment since January. So total it'll be 6 months, maybe more.
What is that like?
It's discouraging. Today when I went to the doctor, I was expecting, you know, them to say maybe, you know, a couple weeks you can go back to work, and instead they're telling me it's going to be another 3 months. And, you know, it's like seeing your life flash before your eyes, because I know what it's going to be like. And I'm finding ways to live with it right now and keep myself occupied. But for the days when you're very sick and you can't get out of bed, it's the most depressing and isolating situation that I've ever been in my life. It's so bad. So.
What do you tell your friends? Like, what do you tell your family? Like, they'll say, you know, you want to go out? What do you say?
Don't feel good. Yeah, I don't feel good. I cancel things a lot, because the problem with the Lyme disease is you wake up and you don't know how your day's going to go. It could be, you know, I could have a great day. I could be having a great day, and then all of a sudden the pain hits, and then I get dizzy, and then my head's hurting, and I can't. I have to go lay down. And so, you know, my family knows that I'm sick. They don't know to the extent of it, though, the details and how far I've gone for answers.
Is it frustrating trying to get them to understand?
Yes. It's very frustrating because when you tell people that you have Lyme disease, they're like, oh, my cousin's uncle, and blah, 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 they had it, and, they took 4 weeks of antibiotics and they were fine. And I'm like, yeah, some people do get fine. You know what I mean? Some people are okay after that. And, for the most part, I try to explain it, but it's very hard because people don't really listen and they don't understand what I'm going through. And when I tell them, that it's something that I've had for a long time. So I kind of try to say something along the lines of, Lyme disease gets chronic if you've had it for over a year. So in my case, 2 to 3 years at least. So it's going to be very hard for me to get rid of it. And then I explain how the antibiotics make me sick. And that's about, all that I can do. Because it's difficult, especially people like my friends in my social life or my roommates that I live with. They see me in the house all day long and I look fine. And I'm just like walking around in my pajamas on the couch, can barely move. And it's just confusing to them. They don't understand.
And it can be also, it feels terrible to have people knowing or feeling like people are judging you and saying,
Yes.
gosh, she's just lazy.
She's just crazy, she's lazy. And I'm not at all. Like, I'm a very productive person. I love socializing. I love being at work. I'm a flight attendant. I love flying and I love talking to people. And it just feels like your life's just ripped away.
How important is it to have this kind of support network, to have a support group to come to?
Very important. I'm kind of new to this group. I just started coming maybe last month. But when I came last month, I realized that it's something that I need. You know what I mean? Because when I first got diagnosed with Lyme disease, I knew nothing about it. And so coming to somewhere like this, where they're sharing the information with you, I'm learning so many things, even like small details of things that I can be doing to help me feel better. So that's what I think, yeah.
Like, for instance, what did you learn, a small thing that helped you?
Well, last month we were watching a presentation, and I forget the doctor's name, but he was talking about the co-infections, which is what I was almost basically diagnosed with today, was a co-infection.
So you don't know if you have other co-infections at this point?
Right now they think I have Babesia.
Babesia, okay.
So he talked a lot about the symptoms and the different co-infections, and that was interesting to me because I have so many different symptoms. And it also felt validating to, to hear other people going through this. It made me feel like it wasn't just me, because at one point I felt like I was probably the only person on the whole shore going through this. And then, you realize that there's actually people that want to help. It's incredible that there's some kind of community, even if it's small, even if it's once a month, it can help me feel better. It helps me feel like there's other people.
What's the next step for you? At this point, you're coming to the support networks. You're seeing a new doctor. Mm-hmm. Do you have like a plan in place?
It's incredibly difficult. And when I left the doctor's office today, I realized that it's going to be a one day at a time thing. Because they didn't really have much answers for me. So, what I'm going to be doing is sitting around and waiting to see how I feel. I told them, I don't have it in me to do another round of antibiotics, not right now. I physically can't do it. That's what I told them. I'm like, I really don't want to go through a Herx reaction again. So I think I'm past the worst of it because I've now had 3 rounds of antibiotics since January. So I think I'm past the worst of it. So now it's going to be one day at a time.
What was your level of activity prior to you feeling that initial symptom of Lyme disease? Like you said, you started feeling the tiredness, the fatigue. Mm-hmm. What was your activity before that?
I'm just a busybody, you know what I mean? Especially with the kind of job that I have. You're waking up at all different hours, and, you'd think that me being younger would, be a benefit to that. Oh, you can handle all that work. But really, I'd be on my feet for 12 to 15 hours a day. And I was okay up until this happened, you know what I mean? Never had a rash, never had a tick on me that I saw. So I'm going into this like incredibly blind, and just I don't know. I try to practice acceptance, you know? The more you try to fight it, the worse it gets mentally. So you have to let your body rest. You know, when the doctor's telling you that you need to rest, you need to rest. It's kind of a hard concept to grasp in the beginning. But once you accept that this is what it is, it makes it a little bit easier because it can be incredibly depressing. You know, your depression and anxiety goes crazy when you get stuck in bed like that. But, you know, practicing acceptance and just hanging in there.